how will you prioritize your time in the police in the future? What do they mean by this question? How will I prioritize my time in the police in the future?
Okay.
I don't really kind of get the question. Well, I kind of think like you prioritize like in any other job. If you have given responsibilities, you have to find time and you just have to do it. But maybe you're looking for some specific answer. I'm not really sure to this question.
Yeah, they are looking for something a bit deeper than that.
Yeah.
Actually, something a lot deeper than that. So, yeah, I can go into that for you. It's a common question. I'm sure I was asked questions like that in 1985 when I applied to join the police. So, yeah, very, very common. Yeah, we can look at that, Aurelia. Right. So, how do you prioritize your time in the police in the future? So, it's a forward-facing question. So, this is very common, as well as rear-facing questions, which are tell me about a time when. We can have forward-facing questions, which are things like, as a police officer, how will you prioritize your time in the future? And so where I'd go with that is something we use called the Eisenhower matrix.
Sorry, what's that?
Eisenhower matrix. It was President Eisenhower, the 40-something president of the United States back in the 40s, I think it was, who said that things that are urgent are rarely important, and things that are important are rarely urgent. All right, I'll repeat that again because it's a bit of a, you've got to get your head around it. Things that are urgent are rarely important, and things that are important are rarely urgent. So what he is saying is that there's very few things that are both urgent and important. Kenny will be able to, you know, if you're in the military, you'll be able to like, all right, yeah, I get that. Like some things don't need doing today, and some things do need doing today, and some things need doing today, but by someone else, not you. So if it's not important, someone else can deal with it. If it's important, you need to deal with it. If it's urgent, it needs dealing with today. If it's not urgent, it needs dealing with tomorrow. Kenny's going to say, actually, in the Royal Navy, urgent.
Everything's urgent. No, and we just use a phrase called we deal with the nearest crocodile to the canoe, is the way we phrase it. Deal with the big things that's going to snap you first and then get rid of the rest.
Yeah. Yeah, you've got to prioritize and you've got to look at what's going to hurt you the most. And actually within the police service, it's the things that are going to hurt you. No, hurt other people. Right. So
sorry.
Then just bear with me, Aurelia, and then I'll invite a question up because I'm on a roll here. I'm on a roll. If you don't mind, it's okay. So we want to be thinking about threat, harm, and risk. So if I don't do this thing, what's the potential for someone or someone's getting hurt or not getting the service that they're entitled to? So when you've got like, as you will have, like 20 crimes that you're dealing with, just as an example, and you've got the talking broach, the radio telling you, are you free for this job? There's an armed robbery just come in, high risk missing from home. You know, it's going to be non-stop. It's going to be, you know, this is what you want. I know some people, I've heard someone actually put something in the Facebook group asking for advice about what the quietest division is in GMP. And I'm like, dude, seriously? You want to be asking what the busiest one is and go in there. That's where you want to go. You want to go to the place where it's busiest. You want a quiet life? Go and become a librarian. You know, you want a life full of excitement and fulfillment, then become a police officer and wear that warrant card, wear that king's, you know, that king's blessing with pride and do the hard work. But that hard work involves having to make tough decisions. And so where they're going with this is how are you going to prioritize your workload? And how are you going to keep on top of it? How are you going to diary it? And what will work really well is if you think about the Eisenhower matrix is that there's some things that other people can do. So you may have crimes on your queue that just need CCTV collecting or a witness statement taking or some evidence collecting from someone's address. You don't have to do those things. You could ask a PCSO to do it. You could ask a special constable to do it. You don't need to do certain things. You need to delegate. You need to learn to delegate. And you also need to learn what's important now. What do I need to deal with now? What do I need to deal with? It's important, so I need to deal with it as opposed to delegating it. Is it something I can delay until tomorrow, in which case it may become urgent then, but it's non-urgent now? So what are the things that I need to deal with today that I can't outsource to anyone else, I can't delegate to anyone else, that only I can do? And if I don't do these things, what's the potential for someone to become harmed or be at risk of harm, or not get the service that they're entitled to and they should get? So this is where you need to have a good working knowledge of the police. And I remember you saying earlier that I've not got that knowledge of the police. Right. So which force are you going for?
I'm going for Thames Valley.
Thames Valley. Right. Have you been on a ride along with any officers from Thames Valley yet?
Well, I applied. I'm still waiting.
All right. You might have.
I kind of asked this question because at my job I do two. So I basically do two people's job, and I don't get allocated for my second responsibility. So I have to find. So I created myself an audit, obviously, and then I prioritize which can't wait, because it's all regarding my second job is, or responsibilities is regarding patients' safe and care premises. So I do know, for example, fire extinguishers, I cannot put that off till the next month. That needs to be done this week because it's expiring and it has to be done. Or so I created myself the audit type of thing. I do myself reminders and all these things, because my main job is really, really busy. I have to create gaps. Can I use that as an example?
Well, yes and no, because they're asking you how in the future as a police officer are you going to, not asking you you're doing it now. But what I would do is I'd feed that into my answer to say that, for example, I'm doing these things already. However, when I'm a police officer, I'm aware that there's going to be different types of challenges. So one of your challenges in the police service will not be fire extinguisher expiry dates, but what it might be is victim code of practice. So making sure that all the victims are updated at the right times in the right way as to what the results of the investigation are. And the reason why I asked about a ride along is then you can relate it to your policing experience that you've got from the ride along. And also you can also get, whilst you're not going to get the experience, what you could really show off by looking at things like HMIC reports. So what's the Inspector of Constabulary saying about the force? So if victim code of practice was a big issue, one of the things or as in the officers aren't updating the victims when they should do, then I would give that as an example. So for example, in terms of the recent HMIC report, it was highlighted that VCOP wasn't being complied with. So that's one of the things I'd prioritize. I wouldn't ask anyone else to do it. I'd take personal responsibility to doing those things, and I'd diary it. And there's all sorts of ways you can demonstrate how you prioritize. But I'd be, that's the basics. I'd be running with that.
Sorry to interrupt you, Brendan. So can I talk about the recent peel?
Yeah, of course. Well, that is the peel inspection is the HMIC report. So yeah. So
yes,
weave this in, and then also weave in examples of, and these are things I'm actually doing. So we've got a little model for forward-facing questions: hook, story, close. The hook, why is it important? So you can talk about why prioritizing is so important. And it's going to be things like you've got lots of things to deal with. You've got to decide what comes first and why. You've got to have a rationale for it. And then how you're going to do it. And then as part of that, how you do it, you can relate to what I'm doing already. And then thirdly, you can talk about what the result will be. So forward-facing questions, that's your model. Hook, the big why, story, what you're going to do and how you're going to do it, and close, what's the result going to be? And weave in some of the things that you're doing already. I know it sounds a bit complicated, but honestly, trust me, that model works brilliantly. And if anyone's thinking, where did Brendan get that genius from? Because it's just sheer genius. It's just got board members, final interview panels on the edge of their seats when it's delivered well. It's something I adapted. If you ever want to watch a guy called Simon Sinek, who, if you go to YouTube, and he's done some really popular TED Talks, and he did one on the why. What's your why? And so he called it the circles, the Sinek circles. And if you watch the video, you'll see, that's where Brendan got the idea from. Yeah, I just adapted it. I adapted something that works very well in the world of motivational speaking. All right, going off at a tangent, and I shouldn't do. Aurelia, hopefully that's helpful for you.
Yeah, very helpful. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.